Hello, welcome back to Get It Scoff Cooking with Pajerico. Today I am making one of my sweetest treats ever. If you want the full ingredients only, skip to the end of the video, it's all going to be there. If you want the method, watch the video straight through. Give us a thumbs up, and even if you like, subscribe. Now, let's get straight into it. So first off, we'll make the base, which is basically just a shortbread mix. And what you'll want to do is measure out the appropriate amount of plain flour firstly. Set the scales appropriately. And then add 225 grams of plain flour. Just right about there. Transfer that over to your mixer. If you don't have a mixer, don't worry, you can do it by hand. It just takes a little bit longer to mix up the sugar, the butter and the flour together. But I will show you the consistency you need to get to once I've mixed it up. Next, you want to add some caster sugar, 85 grams. Better adjust this again. It's nearly 100. Add that straight to the flour, like so. Then you'll need butter, 175 grams of. Just a little bit more, that's 175 grams right there. Then you want to chop this up into little cubes and add it to the flour and the sugar. Okay, that's the butter in. And then you want to add in roughly 1 teaspoonful of vanilla extract. Here we go. Then mix that until it gets to the consistency you're about to see. Okay, that's that mixed. And that's you ready for the next stage. That's the sort of consistency you want. It's stodgy, but the butter's all well mixed into the flour and sugar and vanilla. Get yourself a medium sized tray and line it with some baking paper. Then simply add your mix straight on top of that. Then you've got to press it down firmly, but not immensely firmly. Just make sure you get it into the corners and it's a sort of even thickness all over. There you go, that's how you want it to look. Then simply stick it into the oven at 200 degrees. "20 minutes later, and this is what it should look like, a nice light golden brown. Now you want to leave that to stand for a little while and cool. Once it's cooled, stick it in the fridge while you prepare the next stage, which I'm about to show you. Okay, stage 2. And we're going to make the caramel sauce that goes on top of the shortbread. And here's a little tip for you. If you don't already do this, because all the ingredients are going to get mixed together, you can put your pan on top of your scale, then set it to 0. And each time you measure out an ingredient, put it back to 0 once you've put it in the pan, then you can easily add your second ingredient, put it back to 0, and so on and so forth. And that saves you dirtying a lot of dishes or bowls just to get all your ingredients put together. So, handy wee tip. First up, 170 grams of unsalted or slightly salted butter. Doing this with one hand. Of course, I prepared that off camera, so it's 170 grams. Then set your scale back to 0, like I said. And next ingredient, which is 85 grams of caster sugar. That's 85 grams. Set your scale back to 0. Then add 80 grams of golden syrup. Like so. Then add 397 grams of condensed milk. Invented by a woman called Gail Borden in the mid-1800s as a way to preserve milk, but more importantly, to feed infants. Shunned upon now because of the high sugar content. But, say what you will, it's delicious nonetheless. I didn't actually have to reset the scale for that one because it's the last ingredient and the can comes in the exact measurement you need. One full can. So that's all in there. When I was a kid, condensed milk, if you ran out of milk, we could put it in our tea without any need for sugar and you got a perfect cup of tea. Lovely. Right, so stick that on and at a medium heat, and you want to bring it to a boil, but you want to keep it at a medium mid heat. This is the bit you don't want to mess up. You've got to constantly stir it until it thickens up to a nice caramel sauce, which you'll see shortly. Anyway, mid heat, and just go slow with this and stir constantly. Don't stop stirring, because if you stop stirring you'll end up with big black burnt lumps. So for me, mine goes up to 9, so for me I'll put it up to 6. Yeah, and now I need to stir for 10 minutes solid at least. Don't stir vigorously, just make sure nothing's sticking at the base. Yeah, you're best just to use a whisk. This is the most boring part of putting this together, is the stirring and waiting for the caramel sauce to take place, for the magic to happen. But you might be interested to know that shortbread, which is the base for this recipe, was first recorded in the 12th century, and later on the more refined version that we enjoy today has been accredited to none other than Mary Queen of Scots. And the recipe we are doing today was invented in Scotland in the 1950s. So you had your basic shortbread or shortcake, then you add your caramel layer, and then finish that with a nice chocolate layer, and then you have Millionaires Shortbread. So anyway, this is just about ready, and I'll give you a look at that soon. Oh, and speaking of Mary Queen of Scots, If you want to learn a little bit more about her life, not a great deal, but a little bit, you can watch one of my last videos. You can check that out. That's Inchmahome Priory, a place where she dwelled for about 3 weeks in total, before going to France and then marrying the French king, Francis II. He died shortly after the marriage, and Mary ended up coming back to Scotland to rule as queen and letting us all enjoy our shortbread. As you can see, it's just bubbling slightly. Brought it up to boiling point in the mid-heat. This will get darker and darker, thicker and thicker, until it reaches that perfect caramel sauce texture, which you'll see very soon. Finally, that's it thickened up just the way it needs to be. Lovely. And one final bit of ingredient there is another 1 teaspoonful of vanilla extract. Give that a stir in. So that's the sort of consistency and colour you're looking for. Look at that. Lovely. Now that the vanilla's stirred in, you just want to pour that right on top of your shortbread base. Look at that. Lovely. And just use the back of a spoon to pour that, to spread that into the corners and try and keep it at the same sort of thickness all round. It's not hard to do, it's virtually self-levelling. Here we go. So put this back in the fridge and let it sit for half an hour to cool and do its final bit of levelling out. You can cover it if you want just by putting another baking tray over the top. Normally Pajerico would make short work of this, but she's away to the cinema today. Lovely. Very hot. Okay, stage 3. You'll need 225 grams of chocolate. It can be cooking chocolate or just your regular dairy milk chocolate. Get a glass bowl that's heat proof. Stick it in a pan, which you want to put some water in so that it's just coming up the sides of the inside of the bowl. Then bring that to a boil, but you don't want to keep it boiling. Once it starts to boil, reduce the heat by half and then just keep stirring the chocolate until it's completely melted. Okay, that's boiling, so reduce the heat by half. Just keep giving it a gentle stir so that nothing starts to stick. It should be fine though. You want all of those little cubes of chocolate to be completely melted so that there's no lumps left. Doesn't take long. So that's ready. So just put your heat off. Lift your bowl out, be careful not to burn your fingers, and just put it onto a cloth to take away any excess water. Then just lift that and tip it straight on to the caramel. Then you just want to evenly spread that out into all the corners again and just make sure you've got an equal thickness all the way through. Then you can just create a little pattern. Back into the fridge and leave that there for an hour until everything's very well cooled down and its chocolate has set, as well as the caramel. Okay, so 1 hour later, you should have something that looks like this. And now we need to cut it up into bite-sized pieces. Just separate the paper around the edges and get cutting. So I do it in halves. There we go. Millionaires Shortbread. Well, all that's left to do is to get it scoffed. Delicious. You can store that in your fridge for up to 4 months in a container. Not that I think it will last that long, because it's so delicious it'll probably be gone in a couple of days. Take care.